Today we're here to talk about truck traffic and what the city is doing to address this long-standing problem in Southwest Detroit. As many people here know, over the last several years, the city has conducted a comprehensive truck study in Southwest Detroit to take a complete look at how trucks are using our streets. Our study included talking with residents, businesses, community organizations, and neighborhood groups to understand the issues, but we also talked extensively with industry ranging from container storage yards, the railroads, and even truck operators to understand why they're using certain routes and what would be the implication if we made some changes. What we found is probably not surprising but still important for us to understand is that trucks have been using many of the streets in Southwest Detroit as a cut-through to access the freeway because, well, it's the quickest way and the most convenient, and because, frankly, we've been letting them. As a result, the residents of Southwest Detroit and business owners have had to tolerate noise, dust, and safety challenges of trucks driving down their streets at all hours of day and often during the night. This includes most notably Livernois and Dragoon, where we're standing today, as a connector between the intermodal rail yard and I-75, where hundreds of container trucks and trailers move daily and traverse on a daily basis to move goods. But it also includes other roads like Clark and Scotton by Clark Park and Lanyo towards Michigan Avenue over by Romanowski. Our goal as a city is to design roads for people, and today we're taking many of those steps to return many of these streets to the people of Southwest Detroit. We're happy to announce today in a series of major changes for how the city manages truck traffic, not just here but throughout the city. Beginning on Monday, October 6th, a series of new route changes will go into effect that will prohibit trucks from using our residential and commercial corridors as cut-through streets. Effectively, what we're doing is we're going to prohibit trucks from using any of the streets between Verner and I-75 as a cut-through. Additionally, we're also implementing changes on the Verner and Springwell's commercial corridors to prohibit trucks that don't have business there. The message is that through trucks should go up and around and should use the routes that are intended for trucks, not for the streets that have residences and small businesses on them. What residents, businesses, and truck operators should expect to see over the next few days is new signage going up throughout the Southwest Detroit area, as well as additional police enforcement to help educate operators on permitted routes and to enforce the new restrictions. We're also happy to share that we're launching a new reporting tool that will be accessible on the city website for residents to report truck issues to the city so we can make enforcement and policy adjustments accordingly. I'd like to thank our partners at Detroit City Council for the continued support to the administration in advocating for these changes, as well as many of our partner community groups and neighborhood associations that have been nothing but patient with us over the last few years in getting to this point. Specifically, I'd like to thank Councilmember Santiago Romero, who you'll hear from in a few minutes, for being here, and our friends at the Southwest Detroit Business Association, Southwest Detroit Environmental Vision, and the Southwest Detroit Benefits Coalition for their continued advocacy and partnership with the city on this issue. I would now like to invite my colleague, Assistant Chief A.C. Hayes, up to the podium. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As indicated, this quality of life issue has plagued this community for far too long. We have reallocated resources within the police department to address these issues. So as we talk through the phases of this, as it relates to establishing the new routes effective next week, you will see the members of the Detroit Police Department engaged in enforcing this new signage and our commitment to ensuring that the residents here in the Southwest Detroit community have a quality of life free of these trucks and these commercial vehicles driving down their streets at all hours of the night. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I'd now like to bring up the Honorable Councilwoman of this district, Councilmember Gabriela Santiago Romero.
Thanks, oh, good. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. As has been mentioned, my name is Gabriela Santiago Romero, and I am incredibly excited to be here with you all today. I am a Detroiter. Southwest is my home. It is why I purchased my first home really by Clark Park here. And like our residents, I have endured the harms of heavy truck traffic since moving in to this side of the neighborhood. The poor quality has me coughing when I try to run around Clark Park. I feel the rumbles of trucks when they drive down our streets. I fear walking alongside them on our sidewalks, and don't even get us started on trying to bike on down Verner, driving next to semi-trucks. I see the effects of this for our roads, causing potholes and putting additional stress on our infrastructure and our city budget. We, as a community, have dealt with this for decades, and we know why. We are surrounded by industry and the soon-to-be opened Gordie Howe International Bridge, which is likely to make this worse. And while we can all acknowledge the need to support our small businesses, our local businesses, and ensure that they have access to the goods that they need to operate and that we need to purchase, it's gone way too long without the appropriate regulation, and we Detroiters deserve better. Residents have organized and advocated for the city to take action for decades. We had hope back in July 2019 when the city started community engagements, hearing community concerns related to trucking, and piloting truck routes in Southwest. 2 years later, the final report was issued in June 2021, inspiring the detailed timeline, which felt like one delay after another. Since day one, my team and I have been working tirelessly at the council table and with our community and behind the scenes to make today's announcements a reality. It's been a long time coming, y'all, and we completely understand that. These new truck route restrictions center the safety of our families and our residential streets while ensuring local businesses can still thrive and can still make their deliveries. I'm hopeful these new routes, paired with DPD's focused enforcement, will provide much needed and deserved relief to our residents. When these routes take effect on Monday, I will still be working with the law department to formally revise our ordinances to further strengthen trucking regulations and build on this progress. It is imperative that we continue to establish truck routes not just across Southwest or District 6, but across the entire city. Our residents deserve to breathe clean air and to live and recreate safely in their homes and neighborhoods. And to achieve this, we need to make ordinance changes that impose a stricter fine structure that would incentivize companies and their drivers to follow our local city laws. I remain committed to getting it done and welcome my colleagues, our future mayor, and for continued support so that together we get this done. And quite frankly, we need to make these ordinance changes this year. In closing, I want to thank the administration, including Sam and our friends at the DPW, as well as the law department, and of course, a heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to our community. Yes, the Southwest Detroit Business Association, Simone with the Southwest Detroit Community Benefits Coalition, Raquel and our Southwest Detroit Environmental Vision, my predecessor, Raquel Crescendera Lopez, and countless other community members like Deb Subner, Thomasina, and so many more that come to mind for making sure that we're keeping our foot on the fire and getting this work done. So thank you all so much for being here. I understand that this is just the beginning and we have a lot more to go. We'll be evaluating how this process is and making changes as needed. But with that, I'm happy to welcome up to the stage Greg with the Southwest Detroit Business Association.
Thank you, Council Member. My name is Greg Mingan. I'm a real estate advocate over at the Southwest Detroit Business Association. We have long partnered with our other community development organizations like Southwest Detroit Environmental Vision, Southwest Community Benefits Coalition, Congress of Communities on advocating for this truck route ordinance, and the council member has been a great champion. Sam, DPW, the mayor's office have been steadfast in working towards this and bringing this to fruition. We look forward to continuing to advocate for a community where businesses can thrive, people can live and breathe safely, be good customers, invest in this community without the worry of having the negative environmental impacts of truck traffic where you have vibrations, dirt, dust, diesel exhaust, having to breathe those. We want to support, advocate, and continue developing affordable housing in this community like La Jolla Gardens, where we have people of all ranges, all incomes living there, developing nice spaces, cafes in there where people can sit outside and enjoy it without the effect of listening, hearing, and breathing in semi-trucks driving across. We want them to be able to have a conversation with one another because we believe a great place to live is a great place to do business, and we really appreciate all the advocacy that has happened long before we have been involved. Thomasina and Deb, as the council member mentioned, have been steadfast advocates that have dealt with this problem for years and years and years. We're happy to be partners, and we look forward to continuing to advocate for a community that's great to do business and one that's great to live in. Thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to Simone.
Hello, everybody. Simone Zagovac with the Southwest Detroit Community Benefits Coalition. Been a resident in the community for 30 years. I want to thank Mayor Duggan, Sam, and the DPW staff, and thank you to our council member, Gabriela Santiago Romero, and of course, Raquel Casada Lopez, who was her predecessor, for the work you've been doing to make this possible. This is truly a momentous day, solving a near 100-year problem for some streets in our community. 3 years ago, Mayor Duggan toured with us and our council member, Santiago Romero, on Livernois Street and through the neighborhood. He was impressed with how much care residents have for their homes, despite the heavy semi-truck traffic they live with. So much work has happened by community over decades to get us today to where we are today, and thanks would be very long. But thanks go to the residents who participated when we started counting trucks in 2009 and hosted air monitors at their homes and who spoke at city council meetings and more. Thank you to partners at the University of Michigan School of Public Health who have helped us to document and tell the story about truck impacts in the community. And thank you to so many Southwest organizations who have stuck it out together for this important work. From the community studies, we learned that youth and children under 18 living within 2 blocks of truck routes have 25 to 42% higher asthma. It's a startling number. But diesel emissions are linked to many other health diseases, high blood pressure, issues with pregnancy and birth outcomes, dementia, and more. So separating trucks from where people live and sleep is very important. And it isn't only the safety and health issues that will be relieved with today's steps on some streets. Trucks bring so many impacts to families. It's the noise that disrupts sleep, it's the vibrations that crack porches and foundations and even sewer pipes, and it's the dangerous road dust. This is a safety issue, it's a health issue, and it's an economic issue for the city. Families want to know their children and elders are all safe accessing their homes. Families deserve a basic quality of life. They want to be able to enjoy their front porches and yards where children should be able to play. We are having too many truck accidents with trucks crashing into front porches and fronts of businesses. We have so many tools to fix these issues. And the great thing is we have local control to fix them. Today's latest steps by the city will make will help many hundreds of households and literally thousands of Detroit residents who live in these homes on city truck routes with daily truck traffic. And it will help thousands more children who attend the schools and play at the parks where thousands of daily trucks have been driving, like on Lanyo, Clark Street, and Scotton. This is a very important community achievement today, so we know, and we know more is in the works. We are looking forward soon to stronger policy protections that are needed to help guide where trucking businesses get set up, to make sure they access the best truck routes possible, and to ensure we improve our traffic enforcement. And we also look forward to working with trucking companies and would like to know they will be doing their part in ensuring drivers respect the laws in our neighborhoods to keep people safe. We are continuing to work in partnership with many across the city because Southwest isn't the only part of Detroit facing severe trucking impacts. We can help thousands more families dealing with life-threatening asthma every day and the additional economic hardship that families have dealing with heavy trucks. We look forward to a healthier future for Detroit families, and overall solving these challenges is smart for the city. These are economic issues. To have a future city, a sustainable Detroit, we need a healthy city, one without trucks on our residential streets. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Raquel Garcia. I am the Executive Director for Southwest Detroit Environmental Division, and I cannot tell you how excited we are to be here today. We know that this is a long time coming. I'm going to repeat a lot of comments that have already been stated. My heart is pounding with joy. I think I learned about this just yesterday. And it seems surreal, unreal, and as one lovely resident says, we're very hopeful, Thomasina, but we will see it when we see it, and we are very hopeful that on Monday these streets will feel different, that our residents will believe that their lives can be changed by this new rule, and that we will have a vision for just a new future. We've had so many residents across, as Simone said, we work with the trucks off our streets. In all 7 districts, we have more than 20 partners. That partnership is growing. So many people have come to us asking, what do we do? How do we do this? Because we've been talking about trucks, and long before I was with Southwest Detroit Environmental Division, long before that. But even as I came on, residents in other districts were still not seeing the impact because we're a logistics city, right? And we're the motor city, we're a logistics city. We will retain that. We've got 2 bridges. But we are also the city with a beautiful river, right? A city full of parks, a city full of children, a city full of gardens, a city full of technology. We are so many more things, and this new rule allows us to start thinking about those things. Who are we in Southwest Detroit when we don't spend 90% of our energy fighting? Fighting to breathe, fighting for peace, fighting because there's trucks rumbling down our streets at 11 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock in the morning. So we're just beyond thrilled about this announcement. And we know that residents have been asking for this, as we've seen on a couple of PowerPoints, thanks to Great Lakes Environmental Great Lakes Environmental Legal Center. Since 1938, people have been seeing what they do, the lack of rules, and they saw it coming, right? And then business just can't help itself. It just doubles and it triples because that's technology. This will change so many lives and protect the health of so many families in the city. But we have a lot of work ahead of us, still so much more to do. As I mentioned, our partnership, we will continue to meet and plan and do mapping. There are other parts of the city that are very curious about this, eager to see it in action, learn as we phase in all of the rules with our partners in industry. We do want to say that we want to work with industry. Industry, I want to say this because I say this in all my meetings, but we can point the finger at industry, but it's a combination of zoning, it's a combination of the enforcement and ordinances that we have on the books. It's also, sometimes it can be industry, but everything that we touch comes from somewhere. It comes from somewhere else. And so we are also part of this system, consuming goods from across the world and the country. So we believe that we can be in partnership with industry for so many other projects, not just this, that they will recognize why this is being put into place and that they will come alongside us and learn with us and partner with us. We also see a vision for, clean energy projects with the Port of Detroit. We see alternative fuels, cleaner trucks. We see solar in the city of Detroit and jobs. So many of the residents that come and knock on our door asking for help also want to know about industry and better lives economically. So I just want to thank Sam and the city and Gabriela and everybody who took part in this and for being such great partners. We have reporters that have helped us. We have so many people that have believed in this, and so we're just so excited, and we believe that it'll take all of us, and that we're not ready to point fingers, that we believe that we're in partnership. We're going to stick by that. And then we will look back 6 months from now, a year from now, we'll learn, we'll report to each other, we'll help other districts, and we want to be innovative in that, so in the reporting and other things. So with that, with my joy, I will bring up Maria Mason. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Maria Mason. Most of the community knows me here as Maria Apartamentos. I do provide safe and affordable housing here for the residents in Southwest Detroit. And as a resident that grew up here in Southwest, I remember when I was in high school always hearing about these issues of the trucks, and I never really understood much of it. I was never really invested in community organizations when I was in high school. So finally, when I graduated, I started to be a little bit more excited into learning about the issues in the community. And finally, when I stepped in working here in Southwest, I started seeing that this was a big issue in the community. And I'm just so happy that this is finally being addressed and that we're finally seeing change. I know that my tenants are always, concerned about, the pollution, and pregnant mothers always asking me, is this going to affect my child? And so finally being able to see that the city is making progress, it's really, really warming my heart. I want to say thank you to DPW for making this work. Thank you for Gabriela for always advocating for our residents here. She always does an amazing job. Thank you for everyone in the city that has helped, and thank you for the residents also that, we're always consistent in all the meetings and advocating for the community, and I'm just excited for what's going on to happen on Monday. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Listening to Simone reminds me, so after the mayor toured this area, I'll never forget, he pulled me into his office and said, Sam, I want you to go fix trucking in Southwest Detroit. It turns out it's not easy to do. So I'm happy that we're taking a small step forward today by implementing some of these route restrictions. As you heard from some of our partners, today is not the end. Today is the start of a lot of changes. We're also looking at some projects with our industry partners at the intermodal yard to modernize the facility, to invest dollars to change the infrastructure to help support where trucks can and can't go. So anyway, with that, I'll open it up for questions to the extent that there are any. All right, I'll start with Isabella. No. So the city ordinance today gives the administration, the Department of Public Works, the authority to regulate the right-of-way, and that includes the establishment of truck routes and truck restrictions. So an ordinance is actually not needed for us to make these changes. We have the ability to do so. As Councilmember Santiago Romero mentioned, there is some interest in looking at the ordinance to see how we can strengthen penalties and support some of that language, but the power exists today, and we're using that existing authority to make these changes. Yeah, great question. I mean, so the goal is to really focus on the larger semi-trucks. So we've tried signage that says, if you have trucks more than 4 axles, stay off of the street. But we also know in this particular area, there's, you have a lot of cabs that will only be 2 axles or 3 axles that cause a lot of the problems. So we're taking the blanket approach, no trucks. And if it's a delivery truck that's supposed to be there, enforcement will follow accordingly. So, the intent is to not pull over like an Amazon truck or a moving truck that's helping a resident move, but to really focus on the through trucks that don't have business here. I will invite AC Hayes to talk a little bit more about the enforcement piece.
Thank you. This is a strategy that we will be employing going forward. This is phase 1 of our strategy, where the resources, our current resources of the police department between this 4th precinct area as well as our traffic enforcement unit will assist. We will be working with council and the new mayor in the creation of a weights and measurements unit for citywide to address commercial vehicles. Again, that plague areas not only here in Southwest Detroit but citywide. And again, when you talked about those vehicles, there will certainly be some discretion used. If there's an Amazon truck, someone may be moving, we will certainly be mindful of that. But gravel haulers, trucks of that nature that continue to come in, another thing that we will also be enforcing are trucks and trailers that are parked on the street overnight. Trucks that are parked and idling. Those all have the focus of the police department, and as Sam indicated, there's a new hotline or a new method of contacting the city, both DPW as well as the police department, in addition to See-Click Fix, just to keep us informed, where we will respond accordingly.
What is the penalty?
Thank you. Want to speak to the penalty? I'm thinking we will get that to you after this. Thank you.
How does the city monitor truck traffic on these routes, and do you have an idea of how many fewer trucks will travel these routes with these rules in place?
Yeah, so great question. So for those who didn't hear, the question was how do we monitor the truck traffic and what kind of reduction do we expect to see? So we, throughout this area, as part of our ongoing truck study, we installed new traffic cameras at a lot of the intersections around here. And one of the benefits of that is, not just having the eyes on the ground view to see what's going on, but the technology tells us what the traffic counts are by different modes. So we're able to see, how many trucks are going through the intersection, how many cars, how many buses, how many bicycles, pedestrians. And so, we have a very good starting point to know what that number is. I mean, the goal is, if we're saying no trucks, that it means no trucks. The goal is to bring that down to, as close to 0 as possible. So we know today on stretches of Livernois, and we've seen it behind us with trucks going north or trucks going south. We will have as many as 600-700 trucks a day using Livernois today, and the goal is to bring that number down as close to zero as possible.
Can you describe how, like, changes in e-commerce, consumer behaviors? I live near Woodward and 8 Mile. There's fulfillment centers over there, and truck traffic has increased exponentially just in my head. Can you describe whether you all kind of assess those changes and how you see consumer behavior in e-commerce dovetailing with future efforts to restrict truck traffic in neighborhoods and things like that?
Yeah. So for those who didn't hear, the question was, how does the future of e-commerce? How do we look at that in determining like what changes to make for the truck route? So I mean, basically, we look at it at a higher level. We know that e-commerce drives a lot of the trade happening with the intermodal center, with trains coming in and container truck volumes going up. So we don't get really into the specifics of it, but knowing container volumes are going up, we know that's a direct result of the increase in e-commerce. And so that goes back to the work we're doing with the rail yard to see, well, let's reconfigure parts of the rail yard to stop this from being an issue in the first place.
Can you say a bit about the education rollout with residents, businesses, and truck drivers themselves?
Yep. So the question was if we could talk a little bit about the education of, how we're educating residents, businesses, and companies. So we've already started notifying a lot of our industry partners that are responsible for, the majority of truck traffic here, so we could start getting the word out early to operators. We'll also be, holding today's event is also really important from the education perspective. Like the more this gets out there, the more operators and businesses are likely to know about it. But we'll also be working with DPD to hand out brochures. So as they pull a truck driver over who may not be from the area or may, claim not to know the rules, we will hand out brochures that show them these are the approved truck routes and these are the routes that you can't be on to help, really push that education to home.
And I noticed that there was a hotline. Will it be posted on the sign so residents know that they can call it?
Well, right now we're starting with like an online reporting tool. So it's similar to SeeClickFix, where you'll be able to go on and report the issue and report a picture. So we're not quite at the point of a hotline yet, but if there are, truck issues that require enforcement, residents can also always reach out to their neighborhood police officer to let them know, hey, I'm continuing to have these issues, and we'll act accordingly.
What about flammable materials, like hazardous materials like that truck right back there that was taken from the carrier? What is the plan moving forward to kind of reduce the amount of hazardous material, flammable material that goes through this area?
So the question was around hazardous material. So, in general, there's not a facility here that's directly supporting hazmat. I know that was a liquids truck that went by. And a lot of it will, we assume that the liquids trucks are immediately hazardous, but a lot of them just are not. In this case, like the truck restrictions will keep those trucks and semi-trucks and containers out from the neighborhoods, and that's our focus today. If we do get complaints about a specific type of truck or company that's using routes that they shouldn't, or community or any residents have concerns about specific materials, they can definitely let us know, and that's something we can investigate further.
Yeah, listen, I live over in Green Lafayette. A lot of these trucks got to go down Central. A lot of trucks got to go down Green, Lafayette. I mean, they need signs in there to keep them trucks off. But we don't see no signs in there. I've been there for 53 years, and you know what? The truck terminals they building around us like a we don't even know we got no. All of a sudden we got a truck terminal there. Nobody says nothing about that truck terminal being built. But also it's running trucks through the neighborhood because these guys are learning to drive a truck.
Yeah, so I think the question specific to, is this regarding the trucking school that's there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, we're not addressing any of the zoning changes or changing to existing businesses, but
Address where the truck's gonna go. You should address the neighborhood that the truck runs through so you can put a sign up there, man.
yeah, so I do appreciate that. So we are going to take a closer look at Lafayette and Green. So, today's restrictions are not everything that we're doing. So if that's something that we've missed, I'm happy to come down and take a closer look at Lafayette and Green and see where we can do stronger
Well, they put
signage.
signs up right on the corner of Green and the service drive for the trucks. If they come through there, they know which way to go. Those signs are not for the people from the neighborhood. We know how to get on 75.
Right.
But a trucker don't. So they put them up trucks going to be coming through there.
Okay, well, that's definitely something we'll take a closer look at, so thanks for bringing that up.
Returning briefly to the punishment aspect, hearing that it's going to be detailed later. This is going to be the equivalent, however, if we can get some context. It's a parking citation, a moving violation, a parking ticket financially. Can you give us some context of what it will be punishable by?
Right, so we have some constraints today by the motor vehicle code, but basically the truck drivers that violate will get a commercial violation for driving on a street that they shouldn't. So it's a serious violation. It's much more than a parking ticket. We have to check on the exact amount, but there's a lot of discretion that the city has, and that's what we'll be working with Councilmember Santiago Romero on, is strengthening those enforcement penalties. So we will get the exact fine amount, but it's much more severe than just like a parking citation.
Forgive the nuance, but is it points against their license or not that type of application?
I believe it is. Do you know?
When we now speak of the commercial violations, they're based on repeated behavior. We are now able to address the company itself through their Department of Transportation number, as well as the operator. If there's continual violations, we can also go after their commercial driver's license, which will prohibit them from operating these commercial vehicles going forward. So we have about 3 different ways or avenues that we are currently exploring. That way we can make the most impact to change behavior.
So is it, forgive me for grinding through a powder, is it a commercial operator company citation or a driver citation?
Through the motor vehicle code, we are now able to write both.
Okay.
So they will parallel each other. Yes. Thank you.
I did have one last, if I may. and
Yes, sir.
to Sam. Can you talk about if this is a unique first-time application, what your hope is after you study this, and maybe, as you mentioned, can you elaborate again, please, in regard to where you hope to take this and maybe reapply it elsewhere?
Yeah, so the question is, have we done this in other places, and do we plan to do it elsewhere in the city? So the Southwest Detroit Truck Study is definitely our most comprehensive look at truck traffic throughout the entire city, and I don't want to put a number on it, but at least in the 10 years that I've been here, we have not done anything like this. So starting in Southwest, this is something we are looking at other hotspots around the city. And we, plan to roll out similar types of policies. But right now, we know the issue is the most severe here, so we want to try it out here. Let's see how it works. Let's see what kind of response we get from industry and what kind of compliance. And as we get our enforcement piece strengthened even more, we'll start to look at those other areas. But one other thing that we did also, in response to this issue, we did add a freight position within the city and within Public Works on someone who's dedicated, focused on truck and rail issues in the city. So this is not just someone's part-time job, but this is someone's full-time job to be looking at, not just here, but throughout Detroit.
Can you be a little more specific about how the trucking and logistics industry's beliefs or reactions to these plans were gauged and incorporated?
Yeah, so we had a lot of meetings with the companies, so ranging from the railroads themselves to the truck drivers and the operators and fleets that move containers in and out of the facility. The general reaction was, this is a long time coming, and it's been allowed, so we've been doing it, which is not an unfair answer. And so the reaction is, yeah, this is going to be more inconvenient, but there's definitely an understanding. Yeah, I know there's residences that live on those streets. Ideally, we'd like the shortest route, but we do understand why the city's taking these steps.
Does it make you think the city should have acted sooner? That was their reaction?
No, I think for us, we really wanted to make sure we had a comprehensive look. What we didn't want to do was just take one street and respond to the loudest voice in the room and say, yeah, we're just going to put up a no truck sign, let's say on Livernois, and not deal with any other streets. So the consequence of that would have been, all right, well, they just go to the next street. So they go to Junction or Clark or Scotton. And so we really wanted to make sure we had all of our ducks in a row before rolling this out to try to minimize the unintended consequence of trucks now going down streets where they shouldn't. All right. We'll take last question here.
So with the new citations that are going to be set, coming forth in the next couple of weeks, now we know that it's going to generate revenue for the city, but also with that revenue, will it be generated to go back into the community as well? So, this study has been done for almost over 10 years. The effect that it's had on the children, can we see any type of resources or funding for the children who have the asthma, who have those extra medical cares, to have those funds get put back into the community?
That's definitely something that could be looked at. I think right now our focus is on, let's get the restrictions up, let's start the enforcement and see how we're doing. right now I think we want to make sure we have those pieces, but there's definitely room for that kind of discussion on residents that have been impacted by this for some time and waiting for relief. What does that relief look like? I can say that we are investing a tremendous amount of money in this area. We were successful in getting a number of Safe Streets grants to help reconfigure and do traffic calming on a lot of the streets here to try to really not make up for it, but make sure we're creating healthy streets that are designed for the people that live here and not for the trucks or vehicles that are just using them as a bypass. So with that, we'll wrap up for today, but I want to thank everyone for coming out, and thanks to Georgette for organizing. All right.